Hello friends and not yet friends, welcome back to Mary's Test Kitchen, where my rather uncommon therapeutic need to keep things keto and ever more common preference to keep things vegan means I'm cooking single serving a lot. But once I came up with these recipes, it all became easier, more fun, and more delicious. Let's start at breakfast. I have extra firm tofu, already blotted dry, and I'm gonna slice it in half. One goes in this container for later. The other half goes on a pan. Well, first the pan over medium heat with a little oil, which is optional in case you are one of my oil-free friends. It's good for flavor and color, but this pan is brand new nonstick, so not completely necessary. Add the tofu, and I just want all sides to get a little olive oil, and then we can leave it alone to get golden. Usually for avocado toast, I just take my ripe fruit, cut it in half, and squish it out onto the toast. Today, since you're here, I thought I'd try my hand at avocado roses. Now, make very thin slices for our rose petals. Maybe thinner than this, really. That took so long, so let's check how our tofu is doing. Nicely golden. Flip and spatula it for good contact. And I think we can bump up the heat. And maybe some salt. Then move the sliced avocado over, and I'm noticing the pieces are quite stuck together, so this time before slicing, I'm gonna add a little olive oil. Please be very careful if you do this because, in my opinion, typically oil plus a sharp knife equals danger. So there's your warning. Still, it's gonna be better this time. You see? Fan out the slices. I'm needing a little oil here since the pieces are sticking so much. My dudes, it is confirmed. These slices are too thick, but we shall persevere. Come on, that is not too bad for a first try, right? Now, for attempt number 2. This one with the thinner slices, it's much more flexible and much easier to work with. Finally, let's go back to our toasty tofu. It is all golden crispy. I actually cooked it a few minutes on the edges too, but I forgot to film, so that is why they are so beautiful looking. This becomes our toast for our avocado toast. On goes a little mayo, onion powder, garlic powder, freeze-dried dill, and one tightly wrapped avocado flower. Time to let it bloom. How cute. Now for its differently blessed sibling. And for some color. What's avocado toast without sriracha? Less good, that's what it is. More onion powder because I just love this stuff. And my homemade Furikake, a Japanese seaweed seasoning which is traditionally added to rice dishes and usually contains bonito flakes, which is a fermented fish product. Mine, of course, is a vegan alternative using nutritional yeast instead of bonito, with a little sweetener added to enhance the savoriness. Friends, I think I've outdone myself this time. Creamy avocado, perfectly seasoned with hearty, crispy tofu toast. Now, if you don't have the same goals as mine, and you'll want to slip in a little toasty toast under there, by all means, whatever you take from this video into your kitchen is yours, and there are no rules. Let me introduce you to my recent love, soy curls. I impulsively bought a 12-pound box, and it has been glorious. Don't mistake soy curls for TVP or other kinds of soy chunks. They are similar, but they are not the same. Soy curls are made with whole soybeans, and for some reason, they taste a heck of a lot better than TVP, in my opinion. They've got the fiber still in them, every single goodness from the soybean. You soak them in hot boiling water to rehydrate them quickly, and while we wait, might as well get the greens ready. There are more nutrient-dense greens, yes guys, but I do what I want, and I love romaine. This here is about 3 cups. Oh, here's a little food storage hack for you. Store your washed and mostly dried lettuce in a big Ziploc and then squeeze out any air before sealing it. It will stay fresh and crispy for ages. I'll do a very simple dressing today because my topping is going to be intense to say the least. Olive oil, lemon juice, plus onion powder. Make sure to get the super fine stuff if you can. Granulated onion powder just isn't as good. Garlic powder, salt and pepper. Now we'll pop this in the fridge while I get back to the soy curls. Drain them nicely, and I'm going off camera to rinse them in cold water so they cool down and I can squeeze the heck out of them and get rid of as much water as possible. Look how chickeny they are. Tender with a good bite to them and ready to take on any seasonings. Starting with buffalo sauce. This is Frank's buffalo wing sauce, which happens to be vegan friendly already, although I prefer the flavor of using hot sauce and mixing with plain vegan butter myself, but this is very convenient. Then a fresh clove of garlic. A regular little clove will do, but I am not mad at this garlic for giants. More of my beloved very powdery onion powder, then salt. At this point, we interrupt the seasoning a moment to preheat the air fryer. By the way, you can certainly do this in the oven, it just takes a bit longer. I almost forgot a little nooch for that savory Lipton chicken noodle kind of flavor. By the way, since soy curls are already fully cooked, you can taste and adjust the flavor right now. Just keep in mind the flavor will be more concentrated after air frying or baking. Now we can dump our saucy soy curls into the air fryer basket. Spread things out a bit. And this goes in the air fryer at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for about 8 to 10 minutes, however long you like or have patience for. No waiting around for me though, let's make some toppings. Chop some fresh green onions. And make a quick little cheese sauce. You can always do some aquafaba mozzarella from scratch or other kind of homemade cheese sauce, but this is just really easy and convenient for lunch. One more step because I decided I did want the buttery flavor of Miyoko's after all. And the soy curls are ready. Browned around the edges, just wonderful. They aren't crispy though, despite how they look. They're more like meaty, chewy, and you can just mix it up with the melting vegan butter. And a little monk fruit and erythritol sweetener to balance the spice. After mixing, you can taste it. Then on to our fresh and crispy lettuce, melted cheese sauce, dried parsley, and fresh green onions. It's so good. I eat like a variation of this almost every day. Sometimes I change up the spices. Sometimes it's a lemon Greek style soy curl plus add some peppers, onions, and olives. Sometimes it's a Chinese 5-spice style porky flavored kind of thing. How about tofu puffs for lunch? You can get these at Asian supermarkets in the tofu area. I actually got these at a normal supermarket that happens to have an extremely good tofu section. I'm gonna have half this pack. And just so you know, I'm not usually this fussy. If you are, no judgment, but I don't usually weigh my food like this. It's just to record everything so the curious among you can see my chronometer later. If you missed the last vegan keto video, you might not know I don't do keto all the time, or at least I didn't. Originally, I kind of stumbled upon it. I was slowly eliminating food triggers for my chronic tendinitis, and eventually I figured out ketosis was really useful for treating flare-ups. So I would use it for a week at a time, mainly for that purpose. But since I posted that last video, I thought, well, why not see what a longer period of ketosis will do? Anyways, this goes in the air fryer. Press the steak button and away we go at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for 6 minutes. I really should have started this cauliflower rice before the tofu puffs, but I blame you for distracting me. How dare you? But no, seriously, it will take about 10 or 15 minutes, so if you are going to make this dish, I suggest starting on the cauliflower first. When the cauliflower is almost as tender as I want it, it's time to make a hole and fill it with some lovely olive oil and minced garlic and ginger, about 3 parts garlic and 1 part ginger. While that is getting all aromatic, add seasonings like black pepper, onion powder, like whatever you want. I'm adding also green onions. Sprinkle soy sauce to finish. And that's it for our highly nutritious and delicious cruciferous. Say that 5 times fast. Plate it with something refreshing like cucumber slices. And the air-fried crispy seasoned tofu puffs. They are so wonderful. Then just to be extra fancy, some green onion threads. If I had a cafe, I would definitely have this on the menu. The flavor gives like Hainanese chicken type vibes, but crispy, and just the whisper of something spicy from the gochugaru, aka Korean red pepper powder. Would you order it? Let me know. You know what I would definitely order? This next dish, which I had for dinner this day and many days before this. It's my Korean hot chicken flavor noodles, but adjusted ever so slightly to be more keto friendly. Starting on the heat with a little bit of nice olive oil and a bunch of very spicy looking Korean red pepper powder. But don't be alarmed, it's not that spicy. If you haven't had it before, think sweet paprika, but with some smokiness and a bit of sneaky heat, like not that smack you in the face heat, but like a subtle heat that sort of builds up, but not that much. I just want it to bloom a little before adding the water to create the start of a sauce. Now, I'm adding Korean soybean paste, which is kind of my alternative to using gochujang in this keto-friendly version. It adds a fermented savoriness, which, if I had to compare the flavor to anything, it's similar to miso paste. Not the same, but kind of. And half of a vegan chicken broth cube. With the heat off now, I'm adding my favorite 1-to-1 sugar alternative. Next, we want onion powder, a touch of curry powder, and actual spicy heat this time in the form of hot chili powder. Finally, I did decide on using garlic powder instead of using fresh garlic. And add some more water. Get the heat back on, and once it gets bubbly, you can add your cooked noodles. Or in this case, rinsed and drained shirataki noodles, which contain no carbs and don't technically need to be cooked. I like to simmer them in the sauce for a few minutes, and I find this helps them get really flavorful and improves the texture. Then I also want to add some coconut yogurt for extra creaminess, and also because I've had this tub for a while and I'm afraid of it going bad before I use it up. Then, are we even making vegan noodles without a little bit of nutritional yeast? I think not. It's going to add a little bit more umami, slightly cheesy, and kind of chickenish flavor. Now, with the extra liquid in there, I might need another minute or two of simmering. In fact, keep going until most of the liquid is gone and the sauce really clings to the noodles. And then at this point, you can add some toasted sesame oil, which I'm pretty sure I did add, but I can't find the footage. It doesn't matter. What matters is you get this on a plate and use the same pan again to cook the rest of your meal. I'll use leftover soft tofu from this morning, just heating it through on both sides. The noodles have more than enough flavor, so the contrast of a much milder tofu will be nice. Lastly, add a little bit of olive oil and chopped garlic. Heat it just enough to release the fragrance, and then in goes some greens. With soy sauce. And then in less than a minute, it's ready to go in the bowl. Finish with toasted sesame seeds and, of course, fresh chopped green onion. And that, my friends, is the dinner I've been addicted to for the past week. It is so delicious. You've got that savory, like kind of chickenish flavor, the fermented, deep umami flavor from the soybean paste, and the Korean red pepper flavor without being overly hot, spicy. I mean, that is a matter of opinion, I suppose, but I feel like this is kind of on the mild side, so you can add extra chili oil if you really want to. But lately, I have kind of preferred a little bit milder tasting stuff. Don't know what that is about. Vegan fried rice. Rice being not rice, but when I make it this way, it's not so easy to tell. I mean, I can tell, obviously, but I've served this and people tell me they couldn't tell until I told them. The first component to any good fried rice is leftovers. Leftover bits and bobs of vegetables and my pre-prepped bok choy. Leftover buffalo soy curls from this afternoon, and fresh chopped green onions. And cauliflower rice. Pine nuts because they are so fragrant, and some vegan round that needs using up. Plus a bunch of seasonings. Don't worry if you don't have the exact same things, substitutions are easy and encouraged as always. Also, don't worry about writing anything down because I'm going to have it in the description box for you along with the written recipe or a link to the printable version. So let's take it to the stove. On medium heat, down with a bit of olive oil, and just a normal amount, a little less, a little more, is not gonna matter because you just need enough for this crushed garlic. The oil conducts heat so all the garlic can cook evenly and release the oil-soluble flavors without burning. And this is why oil sautéing is superior to water sautéing. Then when it's fragrant and just the tiniest golden, pour in the cauliflower rice. And how you make cauliflower rice is literally just take some cauliflower, blitz it in a food processor until it's like ricey, and this is what you got. This may not look like a lot, by the way, because it's not. It's just dinner for one tonight because someone is out of town, so just double it if you're cooking for two. Or of course, you can do this exact same thing with leftover jasmine rice or a mixture of cauliflower rice and regular rice if you're not interested in keeping it low carb, but want to keep in the wonderful nutrients from cruciferous. You do you. Then a touch of 5-spice. Ginger powder, since I was out of fresh ginger, which you would have added with the fresh garlic if you had it. And one more thing I forgot I had was shallots that needed to get that fry-up treatment too. So whoopsies, I'm putting it in on the side. Might as well go in with the lighter green and white parts of our green onion as well. And fruitlessly go after a big chunk of cauliflower that didn't get riced properly. You can probably tell by how it looks if it's cooked, but you should taste it just to see that it's cooked through. I find it's more ricey that way, totally cooked through, as opposed to crunchy, par-cooked cauliflower rice. I'm just not a fan of that. I'll add a touch of salt and my dusty onion powder. Some white pepper is absolutely essential. That is a rule. And of course, this is all to taste. So that's it for our rice for now. We will come back to it later. Now for the protein, no oil necessary for this step since the vegan ground beef I'm using doesn't tend to stick. There are so many kinds now, you can pretty much use whatever you like. And then the leftover soy curls from our salad this afternoon, seasoned with rice vinegar, not the seasoned kind, just the plain rice vinegar, soy sauce, and a bit of sweetener. Again, my favorite kind, which will balance out the salty and sour flavors for a really mouth-watering Asian-style taste. Add to that some ground Sichuan peppercorn if you have it, some ginger powder, onion powder yet again, and our meat is done. Once more with olive oil because just egg is quite famous for sticking. In with white pepper, and on to join its friends. Now let's get the leftover veggies just lightly cooked. Season with garlic powder. They really don't need a lot. I want them to keep their original flavor. And everything can go back in to mix and mingle. Our fried rice is really delicious at this point, but I want to add pine nuts. They really are good as is. You don't have to toast them. However, since you're visiting today and you're my guest, I've got to make them a little bit special. I actually got this idea from visiting a Buddhist Chinese food restaurant in Vancouver called Bokong, and they have this pine nut and olive leaf fried rice. And when I had that, wow, if you're in Vancouver and get to try that out, it's so good. So yeah, this pine nut idea is from them. Lovely. I picked that up from watching Heavenly Fan videos recently. Shout out to her. And also if you're a fan of Heavenly Fan, let me know in the comments below. Last but not least, we're gonna cook up some garlic bok choy. First with a touch of olive oil again to make sure that garlic can get to its maximum aromatic power. And then the beautiful bok choy. I'm arranging them for maximum contact since a little char does enhance the flavor. A way to get that wok hei kind of flavor without actually getting wok hei. And a little water helps to steam it so it cooks faster. Final touch, a bit of soy sauce. Lid on for half a minute or so, and it's done. Let's lay out the bok choy and garnish with dark green parts of green onion and toasted sesame seeds and some ground red chili flakes. And would you look at that? There is so much flavor packed in, a good amount of protein, healthy fat from the pine nuts, but it's not like we're going into extremes. Except for extremely delicious, extremely satisfying, extremely colorful. It's mostly just normal cooking, but I switch out the traditional rice for cauliflower, which is packed with even more fiber and has its own special benefits too. It's like pretty much how I approach things when switching my regular way of eating to low carb. Just make some simple switches, small adaptations, keep it fun and delicious. Don't stress too much.